Hi, everybody. Good decisions require creativity, and creativity requires space. Stillness is to my soul as decluttering is to my home. That quote is by Emily P. Freeman. So we welcome you to episode number 61 today, where we're talking about decluttering, and this is decluttering part 1, space and stuff. We're calling it space and stuff. And Michelle and I started talking about doing a little mini series, I guess you might call it, on this topic because during the summer, if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you might have seen that I was going through a process of decluttering. And I found it really fun to bring you all in with me on it because I need lots of help in that area, lots and lots of help. And I noticed that I just those posts gained a lot of attention. You guys had lots of tips, and I used many of them. It was super helpful. And then also I noticed that I think that I think we want to see real on social media. Like we're tired of the polished posts and photos and everything, all the after photos. But I showed you my before photos, and
Yeah.
you saw that closet right back there. What a disaster it is. And yeah, so that's why we just decided that this would be helpful because I noticed how much freer I felt in doing that decluttering process. So here we are. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so something super practical to talk about today. And there is a big movement for minimalism and more spaciousness. And I thought it would be helpful just to take a moment, and if you want to close your eyes, you can, and just think about the word clutter and stuff. And it's like, think about how it makes you feel. Like visualize your most cluttered closet or space. Oh, my closet's open right now and I can see it already.
Quick, close it.
Yeah, quick close it. And then even now think about the word space, spaciousness, margin. Think about a drawer or a closet before anything is in it, and then you've got like that amazing feeling of getting to put your stuff into it and in a really organized fashion, and maybe even with extra space. And I think of the word margin too, which we'll be talking more about next week. But so if you just contrast that word stuff and clutter with spaciousness and like things being organized, or even like you could call it clean or crisp. Such a difference in my mind. And I think that's why we wanted to do this episode, is this has an effect on our body, our mind, and our spirit, like whole thing. Yeah. Because if I sit down to work and I'm doing work that might have kind of a spiritual element to it, like I'm, writing something for a retreat I'm doing or whatever, and my desk is like just cluttered, it really affects the space and the margin in my mind, and affects my spirit to be able to kind of flow in freedom. And as we often talk about here, we want to talk about freedom when we're not trying to put a shame on you, like you must get your closets organized and clean. Of course not. We're about simple steps, right? So we're going to offer you some simple things. Jesus' words. Let's start with Jesus' words, shall we? He says in Luke 12:15, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an ambulance of possessions. Interesting use of words. Anyway, it doesn't exist in possessions. Do you think that's the real word? Abundance, I think.
Abundance. We're going to get ready to do an episode or little series on imperfection and everything. And let's use it. This is our This is a real good blooper right here. I don't know where I copied and pasted that from, but if you listeners, can you find a version of Luke 12:15 that does say an ambulance of possessions? Because I think, but this is on me. I did, and then Michelle read it. Poor Michelle.
So funny. Because last night I was reading it and I thought, well, this must be the Message version.
Right?
Because
Right.
he uses really weird words like that, like totally everyday language. I'm like, yeah, whole
And a
ambulance.
whole ambulance full of possessions. It's too much, you guys. If your stuff
Okay,
can fill up an ambulance.
if I can stop laughing, I'm gonna read that again.
And I'm gonna look up while you're reading. I'm gonna look it
Okay,
up.
I'm
So
guessing. I'm guessing what the word's gonna be. Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. That's what I'm
Wait,
guessing it is.
that makes more sense, doesn't
I don't know, I
it?
really like that word ambulance of possessions.
Right.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that's gonna make a good blooper later. And side note, while she's looking it up, we are wearing our Revelation Wellness shirts that say you are a good idea.
That's
Aren't
right.
you? You are a good idea. You know who says you are? God.
That's right.
So there we go. All
Yeah.
right. So
What could have happened is one of my daughters is an EMT and she drives an ambulance. So maybe I was thinking about her in the ambulance.
yeah, I'm
But
sure.
I'm almost positive I copied and pasted that from somewhere.
Wow. Could be a
Anyway,
message too.
yeah, I'm not seeing it. If you guys find it, that'll be our new contest. If you can find
Yeah.
the word ambulance in the Bible,
In
you get a
a
prize.
particular version, show us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, let's talk about some of the things that affect us as we keep all this stuff. Like, how do we collect stuff?
yeah.
And what are some of the obstacles, or we won't get to the obstacles yet, but just what this causes. So when we keep too much stuff, we have stress over decisions. And one of the things that I heard a while back, not very long ago, and it really has stuck with me, and I must say, it has kept me from buying some clothes. Now, I'm going to admit, once again, vulnerable here, I do love buying clothes. That is, clothes and books are my weakness. Okay.
Mhm.
And I can look at them and I can know I don't need them, but I still want them. So I've gotten so much better. Apparently, when I was a child, I liked clothes better than toys. As
Mm.
a 1-year-old, I was more happy about the clothes.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so from an early age. But what I have been noticing is, how it takes a lot of time to choose what you're going to wear if you have a drawer full. Like, literally, my t-shirt drawer is overflowing, and I can't even
Mm.
see what's in there. So, tomorrow's mission is to clean that drawer out, and because I want to bring in my winter stuff and get out the summer stuff, and there's just way too many t-shirts. So, in my closet, if I have too many things, it takes me like double the time to figure out what I'm going to wear that day. And I don't think it should be that hard. I don't think that should be something I struggle with. So that's one thing. We stress over our decisions when we have too much stuff. And then
Mhm.
there's that whole busy brain, which is very important. As I already mentioned, stuff drags down the spirit. And then there's the ever present issue of not having space to put your stuff. Another current problem I'm having, living in a small house, minimal storage, it makes you have to not buy stuff because you don't have anywhere to put it. If
Mhm.
my husband goes to a garage sale, I say, when you look at that, you ask yourself, where are you going to put it in our house?
Yeah, right?
That's my question I send him out to garage sales with. Then there's the idea of overwhelm. I'll just say that. I need not say more.
I
Uh,
want to say something about that though too. Like
yeah.
with that one, I think about the stuff. It's not just the place to put it, the money to pay for it, or to pay for it, but the cleaning. Like I think about that
Mm.
too. Like if I have more dishes, I have more to clean. If I have more clothes, I have more to wash. And so that's
Yes.
adding to my overwhelm.
Yes. That's a really
Mhm.
good point. Yeah. And there it ties into struggling to find the things that we need.
Mhm.
Um, and this is one of the my favorite reasons for rewards of decluttering or organizing is when I get so absolutely frustrated when I can't find a spice in the spice cabinet or a candle in my candle drawer because I have 20 of them. Well, I just cleaned out 5 of them that I'm donating because I don't need all those candles. I can only use so many.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get frustrated when I can't find something. And then I get so much relief when I look at a well-organized closet where I can actually see everything. So
Yes.
this is a struggle, and a need that I have to declutter.
Mhm.
And then there's just anxiousness, not living our truth, using too much time and energy on stuff versus living the life that we really want. And we might talk a bit more about that in a minute. And just too much time messing with our stuff. Yep, not enough time with
Yeah.
people and experiences. That's why I told Lisa I tend to declutter or organize in the winter, because in the summer I like to be outside. There's no way I'm going to declutter in the summer. You did,
Yeah.
though. Good for you, Lisa.
I did do some this summer. Yeah, I think that part, the anxious not living your truth part that you read at one point ago, was what really led me to be motivated to do that, because I'd been saying for so long that I want to get rid of more stuff, get rid of more stuff, and it just was starting to weigh on me that I hadn't taken the next steps. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So all of that, all of those like pain points, you might call them, a person might read those or hear those and go, well, why wouldn't I just do it? Why no? Why didn't I just bite the bullet?
Yeah.
When I first started saying I have too much stuff, I want less stuff, and why didn't I do it? Well, there are probably many reasons, but one reason might be emotional attachments. You might have attachment. You might feel an attachment to your stuff, like for various reasons. Maybe somebody gave it to you,
Mhm.
and you feel like you shouldn't get rid of it, or you don't want to get rid of it because they gave it to you, even though you never use it or never look at it. Or like that feeling of guilt, even that's an emotion of feeling like, what if that person comes over and they don't see that, they see that you don't have that item out, or they find out that you don't use it or something like that. There could be some guilt involved.
Oh, I have that all the time. Yes.
Do you? Yeah. Yeah, that is a hard one. For me, I think it's getting rid of like the things that my daughters have made or
Mhm.
given me, like any little piece of paper that they wrote a little note on to me when they were little, I want to keep. And a
Mhm.
good friend of mine really helped me years ago with some major decluttering. And we found these slips of paper where Michaela, my oldest, had practiced writing "I love you" on all these slips of paper in kindergarten. And so she encouraged me to laminate them and make them bookmarks, and the
Oh,
freedom that brought me, because I was emotionally attached to those. Like, she had done this
yeah.
cute little thing where she took all those little slips of paper and hid them all around our house, and I found them, and I know I'm not going to get rid of those,
No
right?
way. No
But
way.
at
Those are
the
love
same
notes. Yeah.
exactly, but at the same time, they were just like sitting in the bottom of a drawer, So
Mhm.
making them into bookmarks, that worked. Another obstacle, though, that really gets in the way is time. At least we think it, right? Like I make these projects really big in my mind, and
Yeah.
I don't take my own advice of making them simple and bite off these big chunks of things to do, and thinking I have to finish that whole closet in one setting or something like that. Whereas what I did this past summer when I did it was I really took it in chunks and slowed down, and celebrated the little bit that I would do each day, which would really take me like maybe 30 minutes or something until I got it to where I like it pretty well. There's still some stuff we have to get rid of in there, but
Mhm.
um, so emotional attachments and time. Probably you guys can all think of more obstacles. I know actually one that comes up for me is feeling like I just don't know how. I'm not like
Mhm.
I'm not naturally um, I don't naturally think of like where a logical place for things should go. But
Yeah.
often that comes down to having too much stuff, really. Is that like if I can't think of where this thing should go, maybe I don't need it, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you
And
think of
yeah,
others?
yeah, I feel like there are people who just like say, I'm not an organizer.
Hmm.
I'm not an organized person. And then
Hmm.
so they just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about that a little while ago, a couple episodes ago, where that was my lie that I was
Oh,
repeating
right.
in my mind
Yeah.
and using. Yeah, that I'm just not an organized person, but
Yeah.
I latched onto the idea that I am organized with my time. So I can
Mhm.
organize, I do have, there's a piece of me, part of me that can do
Yeah.
that, and starting to think about how I could utilize that with getting rid of stuff and putting stuff away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you guys have tons and tons of tips. Um, and we'd love to hear them in our Facebook group. We'd love to hear your tips on organizing. One of the people we asked was my sister, who is one of those natural born organizers. She helps people organize sometimes. Whenever she comes to my house, I give her tasks. I do
And she
like
likes
organizing.
it. She
She
likes
loves
it.
it.
Yeah.
So I like organizing, but she loves it. And so my gift to her is to let her organize. I mean, why
Yeah,
wouldn't I as an older
exactly.
sister? Why wouldn't I let her do it? So she, she was able to share with us some things that, um, are tips, and also some things that stand in the way of people getting organized that she has seen. And one of those things was that emotional attachment. She sees that often. So often, a
Mm,
person who is standing next to you or helping you, like Lisa had the person give her the suggestion
yeah,
to make those into bookmarks. And like one time I heard a person say, take pictures of all your kids' artwork, then put the photos in a scrapbook and throw the original bigger artwork that you no longer have room for away. I
yeah.
mean, you keep
Good one.
some, you keep your favorites, but yeah.
Right.
But also just, Deb said, like, there's just this idea, that's my sister's name, systems, like having systems in place, like for your mail or where you put your keys, or what you do with your laundry when it's folded, or like I just put a system in place for my pantry where everything's labeled, and it brought me so
Mm,
much joy. Like, I
mm,
can now find the beans. They're not buried
mm.
behind the soup and the tomatoes and what. I know where my beans are. It's like, yes.
Could you share a picture of your pantry
Oh,
on
yes,
in
I
our Facebook
shall.
group? I
I
would love to see
shall.
that.
Yes. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Even my sister gave me kudos. So,
She
yeah.
approved. It's Deb
So
approved.
one of the things she said, and I get what she's saying, but I'm going to say it does sound a little bit tricky, is if it's in your hand, then put it where it belongs.
Mm,
So, I mean, sometimes like last night, I took some laundry out. Well, I couldn't put it away that moment. So I threw it on the bed. But
mm.
anyway, she's like,
Yeah,
let's say you get the mail. Don't throw it on the counter. And then later you got to move it from the counter because it's in the way, because you got to cook, and then you put it somewhere else. And you just keep moving your stuff around. She's like, just
yeah,
take it and put it where it goes. I think
yeah,
that also involves systems, having some systems in place.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, also that hiring or getting a buddy who's good at it and having them partner with you. Someone you can ask questions of, particularly if it's emotional attachment, and um, yeah, having a
Yeah.
box. Maybe like I like to have
Mm,
one box is for Goodwill, one box is maybe for our community garage sale, one box is for the dump, the garbage.
yeah,
There's like,
yeah.
and as you organize it, you're like flipping things into the right box, and
I like that. I really
yeah.
like that. I think I do that with my closet when I go through my closet, and I like having all that stuff ready, so I'm not just um,
Hmm.
having to do that later, but having the three things ready that I'm going to put the stuff in.
Hmm.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And I think,
I wanted to say about the
yeah.
hiring someone that might sound like an extra expense, but it really could be worth it. I mean,
Hmm.
I've never done that personally, but I would. I see the value in that for sure. Hiring someone that could just help you go
Yeah.
through, I bet that would just feel so worth it when you're
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
Because they can see things differently than us, and
Hmm.
they're not
Hmm.
attached to things. And
Yeah.
people who are good at organizing, they see systems and they see ways to organize it that we don't, if we're not
Yes.
naturally gifted in that way.
Yes. My friend that helped me that I mentioned a little bit ago, she also was the one that helped me go through a bunch of my books years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
she would just ask me, like, when's the last time you read that book? And, but
Mm-hmm.
I might read it, and she's like, well, then you could buy it again if you come to a day. And that, like, that felt like way, like, a waste, like what? I'll just buy it again. But what I have found is that that hasn't happened to me. I haven't been really like some children's books I have bought again that that I wanted to read with my kids that I didn't have from when I was little.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I can just get the book from the library. That's just what she said to me. You can just use the library, and it cut down my bookshelf so much. So
Yes.
yeah,
I had done that when we moved from a larger house where I had a lot of bookshelves to a smaller one. And I took someone's advice and I took all the books were out already. They weren't in a shelf. So I'm looking at my very small shelf right now that is very much of an eyesore. Needs to be gone through this winter. And I will look at them and I'll keep like my classics. But there are so many in there that I said, I got kind of emotionally because I thought, oh, that looks
mm,
really good. The title sounds great. And then I
yeah,
open it up and it doesn't really light my fire. I'm not too excited about it,
hmm
but I just paid for it. So I don't want to throw it. So
yeah,
I need to we have a little community libraries here. I need to put
yeah,
it in the pile to bring there or, to
yeah.
donate or to pass on because I'm not going to read it.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I
that's a
need to make
yeah.
those decisions. We should do it together, Lisa.
Yeah, right, hold each
Except
other
you'll end
accountable.
up taking home all my books that I don't want.
No, I can't even look at them, or or I might. But I do love the library for that. I just did a post recently about that
Mhm.
on social media about using the library because I'll hear about a book, it'll be recommended,
Yes.
but I need to hold it in my hand and really see it, like, and, feel it and look all through it to decide,
Mhm.
is this a book I really wanna own? So I'll get it from the library first for free.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've even just looked right through it in the library and then said nope, and then put it right back in the return thing. But
Yeah.
it's just I love the library. It's free.
I need to adopt that habit. I really want that habit. So kind of like your bookshelf, like taking everything off and really looking at each thing is kind of the
hmm
best way to organize even a room. Like if you're
hmm
just like if the room looks cluttery, Emily's the quote we read at the beginning is Emily P. Freeman. Well, her sister is a organizing, decorating kind of guru. Her name is McQuillan Smith, and she's got books on it and stuff. And she says to take everything out of a room, all the clutter. I don't know about the furniture, but everything else. And then one by one, put the things back. And if you love them, good. And if you don't, like, don't put something back in there just because you had something. And then it's
Yeah,
a great way to declutter and kind of reorganize.
that does sound like a great way. I could see how that would really work. It also, I don't know about anybody else, but makes me go, oh my gosh, that sounds huge. So we'll break it down and make it more simple. It's coming, you guys.
Yeah.
Don't be
One room,
overwhelmed.
but yeah, that's just
Yeah,
one idea.
yeah,
So yeah, when was the last time, that you used something? You're going to ask yourself that. I have just noticed the other day, I have 3 potato peelers. Why? I
yeah.
don't know, but I only really need 1. So there's
Right.
going to have to be some throwing out or passing on. So
Yes.
yeah, can you give things away to people? Can you gift them? Can you take them to the
hmm
little community libraries, the Goodwill?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's your tip. So, oh,
hmm
tell us
Yeah.
your tip, Lisa, on the clothing. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a couple tips to share. So with clothes, I somebody taught me this tip. I did not come up with it, but I did this at the beginning of the summer, and I shared this on social media about turning all of your hangers around the opposite way at the beginning of a season. And then if you wear that item and you go to put it back on your in your closet, you turn the hanger around so you know that, like, okay, I wore that one this season, so I shouldn't get rid of that one. But at the end of the season, whatever's turned around, you could tell yourself, you could do this many different ways, I'm sure, but you could tell yourself whatever's turned around, I'm going to get rid of. Or at least that makes, for me, it makes me pause and go,
Yeah.
really, when is the last time I wore
Yeah.
that? And I was sharing this with Michelle and I said, I don't dress up very often. I'm often in a shirt like this, and like today, my daughter saw me. She's like, you look nice. I'm like, oh, thanks. Wearing my t-shirt. But this is about how I dress usually.
You must look good
And
in green. You must look
I
good in
guess
green.
so. I just thought that was so funny. I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt. She's like, you look so nice. I'm like, oh, thank you. But I do need to keep like a dressy tank top or two. Like when I was going through my tank tops, even though I didn't wear it this season, that was my, but it caused me to pause and go, if I were to dress up today, would I potentially wear this? And if yeah, then I'll keep it. But if not, it's time to give it away. So the turned around hanger is really a good one for me. Um, and then when I go to my closet, we already talked about this, but like bring the bag or the box for the giveaway stuff with
Mm-hmm.
me. And then once it's full or as full as it's going to get, put it right into my car. And then, keep it in there so that I will be sure so that it's out of my house, it's out of my closet. And I often forget what was even in there. So it might have been a hard decision for me at the moment, but really once it's in my bag, in the car, I don't remember what's in there. I'm not
No.
missing it. It turns out I don't need it. So, yeah.
That's the
So,
case when you're about to move and you put some things in a storage unit, or those of you who have storage units, you probably do not know what's in the storage unit and you have not been missing it for the most part.
exactly. Right. Right. Another tip that I did recently was this is the room where I have my quiet time in the morning, and I do all sorts of things in this room. Though this is my office, I lead a Zoom fitness class in this room, so I need things to be easy to like clean up and move around and stuff like that. So I'd had my stack of like my Bible, my journal, all my pens just loose over in my spot where I sit, and finally it dawned on me like I could get a cute, nice basket and use a jar to put my pens in. So it's all contained. It looks much nicer. It's just contained. And when I go to need to move it, it's super easy to move it. So that's the kind of thing that comes natural to a lot of you probably, but that's the kind of thing that didn't come natural to me. But once I did it, I'm like, oh, what other areas could I do that in? And
Yeah, yeah.
just,
Makes you
yeah.
happy.
It does, yeah. I mean, like my husband recently, he was trying to work on something in his office that he didn't really want to work on. And all he did was kind of tidy up and move some stuff. And he found that he could just, think better and complete the
Yeah.
task. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think just also, I may have mentioned this earlier, but that idea of experiences over stuff, and people over stuff. And that idea that we had in the beginning of when you think about clutter and stuff, and then you think about spaciousness and margin. And if you have more margin and you have more time, which you will if you're organized and have less stuff, it's just the way it
Yeah.
is. Less stuff to clean, less stuff to insure and take care of, and all of those things.
Yeah. Right.
You have more time for people and things that you
Yeah.
really, really love. And this idea of your, living your life wholeheartedly and with kind of a beauty and a flow and an ease, I mean, is what we want. And for me, speak for me, stuff gets in the way. I like my
Yes.
stuff until it gets in the way. It's
Yeah.
often in the
Yeah.
way. So
Right.
I can't go to coffee with you, Lisa. I've got to clean my stuff. I've got to
Right.
organize
Yeah. I
my
gotta move my
stuff.
stuff around. I gotta clean it. I gotta
I have to
find
move
a
my
place for
stuff
it.
from room to room.
See you next week. Right?
So,
It,
I love the word margin and space.
yeah,
So, let's be talking more about that next week. And do you want
for
to go through
sure.
the simple steps, Lisa?
Sure. I just wanted to share one thing as we're getting closer to the holiday
Yeah,
season, and you might take this into consideration. Like, who could you, rather than give stuff to, share an experience with? Because
yeah,
I always what always comes to my mind is years ago when my niece and nephew were so young, I took them to do something at Christmas time, and I didn't buy them anything for Christmas. And they were young
mhm,
enough where that could have been like, oh, what a bummer. But they couldn't wait. Like I knew what I was going to do with them and something that
yeah.
each of them would like. We did it together. And my girls came too. And my nephew is now 20, I think. I think he's 20. And he remembers it. He's like, remember
Wow.
that year you took me to the root beer store? And I'm like, yes, I do. And I'm so glad you remember
Yeah.
that. And it was that shared experience that we got to have. And
And he might not
so
remember, like, if you gave him a car or something, some kind of, not a real car, but a toy car or whatever, a toy.
yeah, yeah, like
I'm so glad you brought that up because I
yes,
was thinking holidays and I was thinking, wouldn't it be great? I mean, I really don't need to be given more stuff.
yeah, no, me
I would
neither.
be just thrilled if my friends gave me experiences or time.
Yes,
Quality time
yeah,
would be way
yeah,
better. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, me too.
Let's do that
Same.
this year, Lisa.
Yeah, let's for sure do that.
Maybe a whole episode on how to do that. Some ideas around Christmas.
Yeah. Here we are brainstorming while we're episoding
Right.
or while we're
While
podcasting,
while live,
episoding.
we're just thinking up content for future weeks. It's almost, it's in all the stores already, so we have to start
It's
thinking about it.
it's true. It's true. Okay, so we've shared lots of different ideas and little nuggets here and there. But like we always promise you, we'll break it down and make it simple. So we've got 2 steps for you. So the first step is to choose one drawer, shelf, or cabinet to declutter. Do you hear that? So not emptying out the whole room. I mean, if that's where you're at and you want to do that, go for it. But you could just start like this. So throw out broken or unusable stuff, give away stuff you don't need. And you could use the Pomodoro method, which we podcasted on episode
Yeah.
28,
Yes.
where you set a timer and work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then repeat that. It feels so much more manageable, I believe, when you do that. So just choose one drawer, one shelf, or one cabinet to declutter.
Mhm.
And then it's so important to reward yourself after doing something like that. So we would love for you to think about different ways you could reward yourself. One way might be to share a photo. Like, this is what was really helpful for me this summer. I didn't know that this would happen for me. I thought it was more like accountability when I posted on social media my decluttering of this closet, my spice cabinet, and things like that. I thought it was more about accountability, but really I was rewarded because you all were interacting with me, giving me tips, telling me well done, and all of this stuff. It was just fun. So that might be a reward. Share a before and after, or just the after if you want to, on our Facebook page or in our Facebook group. You could call a friend afterward to tell it, like, guess what I just did? I just emptied out this whole drawer. You could watch your favorite show, but be sure to reward yourself so you'll keep up with the good work. So choose a drawer, shelf, or cabinet to declutter, and think about a good reward for yourself for doing that.
Yeah. I was just looking up to see if the Message version did have ambulance in it, by the way. And I'll just read it. It does not.
Okay.
Luke 12:15, take care, protect yourself against the least bit of greed. Life is not defined by what you have, even when you have a lot.
Even when it's enough to fill an ambulance,
Yes,
right?
exactly. There we go. Thank you for
Mm.
tidying that up, Lisa.
Oh,
Thanks for listening, everybody. It's been fun.
yes. Come back next week to listen to another episode on decluttering, but it'll be different, so come back.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
We are so glad you joined us today, and we hope we've inspired you to take that one simple step for the whole you.
And if you've enjoyed this podcast, would you help us spread the word by passing it on to your friends and family, and also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Instagram, and those links are in the show notes. And as always, consult your healthcare provider before implementing any major exercise or diet changes. We hope to see you next week. Bye.